Welcome back into CBS Sports HQ. Following big breaking news in the NFL, man, it has been a week for trade requests, including Terry McLaurin with the Commanders. Also in the NFC East, and this might be the biggest one of them all, star pass rusher for the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons, formally requesting a trade. He put it out on X today. His statement was very lengthy, several pages, but essentially saying, I am unhappy. I have tried to talk about my contract situation. My agents have tried to talk about it with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. They have thrown me under the bus a couple of times. I don't like that, so I am formally requesting a trade. So if a trade were to happen, now some people are saying this might just be a negotiating tactic. However, if a trade were to happen, what would it look like? Where could he potentially go? Taking a look at this, maybe it would be something like this. Back in 2018, when the Raiders traded away Khalil Mack to the Bears, they got him and another pick. The Raiders, in turn, received 2 first-round picks, some other later picks as well for the 2019-2020 draft. Emory Hunt said at least a first-round pick would be involved in this. But let's go through some landing spots here. Let's welcome back in Emory Hunt and John Breach. Top landing spot, we're going to go from, I guess, your least likely or your least favorite down to your favorite. We'll start at number 5, and you've got the Patriots, Emory. Why would you like to see him go there?
Because Mike Vrabel would be totally content in winning ball games 3-0. He could care less about offense, right? And we saw how much money and draft capital they spent on defense. So they wanted to beef up this defense to really shut teams down and give the offense more opportunities at bat. So just to go along with what their offseason has been, remember they signed all those free agents, they drafted well, and there was talk that, hey, if Abdul Carter is there, they would take him. So that shows you that this wouldn't be as far-fetched as it may seem like. And plus, they'll give up a first-round pick if you're getting Micah Parsons. That's what I would say for all of these teams that I'll list.
Yeah, and it feels like Mike Vrabel is that one guy who fully embraces the defense, wins championships euphemism. We're talking about a guy who got the #1 overall seed in the AFC in 2021 with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. And he did that because of his defense. As Emory kind of alluded to here, the Patriots went out and signed some big-name defenders this year. They got Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, Harold Landry. So now you add Micah Parsons to that mix, and you absolutely can win games 3-0, as Emory just said. And the Patriots have the most salary cap space in the NFL, so they can absolutely afford to add Micah Parsons.
Yeah, a lot of room there. And I think we can say, look, any team would be happy to have Micah Parsons. So Patriots at number 5. Number 4, you've got the Titans. This is a team, Emory, that is looking for a massive turnaround. They got the #1 overall pick in Cam Ward. I think they were bottom 3 in defense across the board pretty much in the league. Why could it's obvious why the Titans could use them, but why do you like this matchup?
One is football Siberia as of right now. So Jerry Jones is like, you know what? I'm not going to cave to your demands. I'll send you to Tennessee. So they have the space. They need a pass rusher. And if you're looking at what Tennessee does really well, it's going to be on the offensive side of football with their rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. They have Jeffrey Simmons already in tow. They need to add some punch coming off the edge to kind of accentuate what Simmons does. So getting a Micah Parsons, who can be considered one of the best pass rushers in the game, whether you have him first or third, he's definitely top 3. This would help their defense out tremendously. And we're talking about getting added possessions for a young quarterback with Drake May. You could do the same thing for Cam Ward in that offense by getting a guy like Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and if you're the Tennessee Titans, you look around your division. You're in the AFC South, which is one of the more winnable divisions. And not that adding Micah Parsons would suddenly make them a contender necessarily to win the division, but you pair him with Jeffrey Simmons. Now you have a pretty strong defense. And if you can keep the other teams scoring under 20 points, that at least gives you a fighting chance to win games. And Cameron Ward's only going to get better as the season goes along. So by making the defense better, as Emory just said, you get more possessions for your rookie quarterback, for that offense that should improve each week. And so, hey, look, maybe the Titans become a wild card contender if they add Micah Parsons. So they would certainly be a team that could use him.
Yeah, and I'm seeing from Twitter right now, some guys saying, hell yeah, Micah, go get your money over in the AFC. Let's go to the Panthers here. They're coming at number 3 in your list, Emory. And it was funny. This has nothing to do with why he would be a good fit, but there was frustration with Micah and the Cowboys if you go back to draft night, because he wanted to see them draft Ted McMillan out of Arizona State. Instead, he went to the Panthers. He's like, oh my God, that was our guy. He was so frustrated. So that's kind of besides the point, but a fun little story there. Why would you like to see him with the Panthers?
Shout out to Micah Parsons, the GM, the scout. He understands talent. But when you know what I'm saying? Like, when you look at the Panthers, though, they drafted Prince Umanmielen. They drafted Nick Scorton, who I really like, out of Texas A&M. But they still need a true identity along that defensive line. In free agency, they brought in Patrick Jones as well. So, for me, this would be a great fit. He would be the star up front for Carolina. That's a team that's on the ascending trek. When you think about what we saw from Bryce Young and how well that offense kind of caught fire, had those guys flirting with that NFC South, division toward the back end of the season, and you expect them now to take that step forward. They need a cornerstone player on defense. I think getting a Micah Parsons will really make this young team that's exciting even more exciting heading into 2025.
Yeah, we just took a look at those defensive numbers. The Panthers gave up the most points in the NFL last season. They gave up the most yardage in the NFL. And the problem for Carolina is their offense isn't built to win shootouts. They're not going to win games 45-42. So they do need some improvement from their defense. And there is no way to improve your defense faster than adding someone like Micah Parsons. He would be an absolute game changer. You have a cornerstone defensive player now. And then you don't have to win games 45-42. Maybe you can win them 25-22. So just any improvement that team can get on defense, they absolutely have to try. So they should try to attempt to swing for the fences by adding Parsons.
And I would like to correct myself. Tim McMillan went to Arizona, not Arizona State. So these have been kind of like tame, I will say. Your final two teams are absolutely bananas. Coming in at number 2, you get the Browns. If you have Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett on the same team, like I'm packing up, I'm leaving, like whatever. This would be bonkers, Emory.
But it would also make the most sense. If you're Cleveland, you have what I alluded to earlier, Amanda and Breach, 2 first-round picks. Give those to Dallas. Get the young pass rusher to pair up with Myles Garrett, along with Mason Graham, whom you drafted in the top 5. That defensive line would be scary, and that's why I love it. You guys know we weren't going to get through this segment without me throwing a little spice on something. I'm a Cajun, by the way, so of course I was going to say the 2 best for last. But this one was perfect because they have the draft capital. Cleveland, for whatever reason, finds a way to have money. They like the New Orleans Saints in that regard. And this is the defensive line that you want to add Micah Parsons to. If you have questions at quarterback, whether you have one of your pick of the 5 that they have on that roster, well, at least we know this defense can win games for us right away with a Micah Parsons on one side and a Myles Garrett on the other side, and Mason Graham, the young rookie stud out of Michigan, on the interior. So this would make the AFC North a lot more interesting than it already is.
Yeah, Micah Parsons landing in Cleveland would be fascinating because right now I don't think anyone outside of Cleveland thinks this team can be a playoff contender this year. But if you are in the AFC North, you have to face Joe Burrow twice. You have to face Lamar Jackson twice. You have to face Aaron Rodgers twice. So if you're going to win games, it helps to have great defensive players. They already have one of the best defensive players in the NFL with Myles Garrett. You add another best defensive player in the NFL, Mike Parsons. Now you have 2 of the top 3 defensive players in the league on one defense. That at least gives you a puncher's chance to beat those other teams with those great quarterbacks. And if you can beat those other teams, maybe you can stay alive and compete for a wild card spot.
Myles Garrett has been very outspoken and supportive of Micah Parsons. And somebody in our group upstairs did point out, to your point, Emory, what you said, you think he's still going to stay with the Cowboys. You think he's going to get paid. If we remember, Myles Garrett did request a trade in early February. It was less than a month that he agreed to a record extension there with the Browns. All right, final one, your number 1 team. And I'm curious if it's simply a team fit or if you were looking at what they would potentially trade for him. The Commanders. You're telling me you're going to send Micah Parsons within your division to another team you're going to see twice. Why do you like this?
Amanda, I live within 10 miles from East Rutherford, New Jersey. I have seen this before. I have seen this movie and the sequel. We just finished watching the sequel of Saquon Barkley run up and down, the New York Giants and into the Super Bowl, right? Plus, this is like that meme where you have those 5 soldiers standing up against the wall and one is wearing a clown suit. This is the obvious one. Like, of course he wants to go to Washington. He has connection with Dan Quinn, who he coached Micah Parsons in Dallas. So that makes the most sense. Secondly, they just got, Von Miller out the blue. that tells you hey, we need somebody to come off the edge and rush the passer, which they do because they don't have Montez Sweat anymore, who's out there balling with the Chicago Bears. So why not go and kind of hurt your division rival while also adding to your an area of improvement for you, a weakness with a significant strength? And I would be willing to bet Micah Parsons would be a little bit more willing to work with some of the numbers as opposed to drawing the hard line here with the Cowboys if he's going to go to Washington and play with his old coach.
I will admit, from a personnel standpoint, this move makes sense. I'm sure Micah Parsons would love to reunite with Dan Quinn, but Jerry Jones would sell the Dallas Cowboys for $5 before he would trade Micah Parsons to a division rival. I don't even think he would answer the phone call. I'm guessing he probably has the Commanders' numbers all on block. He is not going to talk to them. He is not going to entertain the notion. I don't even think offering 5 first-round picks would get a deal done between the Commanders and the Cowboys. So, yes, from a personnel standpoint, I do think this would be a great move for the Commanders, but I just don't think Jerry would ever do this as long as he's live.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I'll tell you, it's a wild day in the NFC East. Ashley Nicole Moss, our basketball expert, she is a Cowboys fan. She just texted me, I hate it here. And then I have Eagles fans saying, look, Micah Parsons and Terry McLaurin requesting trades in the same week. They're like, I love this song. It is a wild time.